به نام خدا سلام عرض می‌کنم.
In the name of God. Hello, dear viewers, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're going to talk about a very common, important, and painful issue: restlessness. Maybe right now, as you're watching this, if you look at your life, you might find yourself in a situation where restlessness is constantly bothering you. There are many people who have pretty good situations, no financial problems, no issues with marriage, no worries about rent, or the usual problems people often face. They might not have it, but this restlessness just won't let them be. The real question is, why do so many people never feel truly at peace, no matter what? Friends, nothing happens without a reason. When we talk about restlessness, it has roots, reasons, but there's no single clear cause. Let me give you an example. Say someone gets a headache. The symptom might be the same for everyone. Like, when people get headaches, the main source of that pain, the signal that goes off, the warning felt inside the head, that's something a lot of people share, but the causes can be different. Someone whose headache comes from, say, poor eyesight is very different from someone whose headache might be because of bad sleep. The way to treat those headaches is just as different. It's the same with feeling unsettled. We all feel restless sometimes, but the reasons behind that restlessness vary a lot from person to person. Here, I want to give you a list so that if you or someone around you is feeling that kind of unease, and no matter what you try, even when you've gotten the things you thought would calm you down, you still feel restless, this might help. But if you still haven't found peace, check this list yourself and see which type of restlessness fits you from the groups we talk about here. Then, pay attention to the simple methods I'm going to share. I really think this video could be super important for you, so please don't rush through it. Stay calm, watch the whole video, listen carefully, and if you need to, take notes. I'm sure it'll definitely help you. Now, friends, first keep this in mind. When we talk about real peace, what we're saying doesn't mean there's no pain, problem, or crisis in life. Pay close attention to this. In fact, in the world we live in, it's impossible for any person or living being to have a life completely. This is a really important point, and if someone has something, they shouldn't become a prisoner to it. What I'm trying to say is that true peace is a deep inner state for a person, and what comes from that is an outer condition. Someone who has real peace might have a tough life, but their mind isn't constantly fighting itself. Life is hard, but they still sleep soundly at night. Life is rough, full of ups and downs, but they can handle it. They don't let it pile up in their mind and stop them from moving forward. They don't end up tossing and turning at night, caught in a cycle of what do I do now, and wearing themselves down completely. So, when we talk about peace, what we're really after is, that's just how we are. Anything else is unrealistic. Now let's talk about the types of people or groups who, when they're not at peace, might be lacking calm because of one of these types. You can see for yourself, if you have this issue or if someone around you does, which of these root causes might explain their problem. Some people never find peace because they confuse peace with having more. In other words, they've conditioned their minds to only feel calm when they achieve success or gain possessions. Until then, they just can't relax. For example, people say they won't be at peace until they buy a bigger house, or at least a house. But when they tie their peace of mind to getting something, it means that even after buying a house, they'll say, now this car doesn't suit me anymore, I won't be calm until I get a better one. Then they buy the car and say, I won't be at peace until I find a spouse for my child. When the child gets married, there's always another worry. These are the kind of people who keep tying their peace to having more, always chasing what they don't have. Like they don't have a daughter-in-law for their child, or they don't have a house for themselves. Right now, he doesn't even have a car for himself, yet he keeps thinking that once he gets it, he'll find peace. This is one of the problems, one of the struggles, one of the crises a lot of people face. If someone is dealing with this kind of restlessness, here's the solution. Look, dear friends, these people need to consciously draw a clear line between their needs and their endless wants. Until they make that separation in their mind, their problem won't be solved. They have to practice every single day. They need to practice expressing satisfaction, even about small things, and tell themselves, I'm content with what I have done, or I'm happy with this. Being content with what you have, like being happy that you have this house right now, feeling good today, or succeeding at work today, is enough. You have to convince yourself of that. Appreciate what you have, and don't be greedy for more. This takes practice and self-encouragement. If you haven't watched the video on affirmations, I really recommend checking it out through the link above. It'll help a lot. People need to understand that every success you achieve is just the end of one chapter, not a guarantee of peace. You reach a goal, and that phase is over. It's not that if you don't get something, you lose your peace of mind. You need to separate those two, otherwise your problem will never get solved. You'll gain a whole world of wealth because it's never ending. Even if you have the biggest house in the world, there's always a bigger one out there. Even if you have the best job in the world, there's always a better one. Our world is all relative. There's no limit or final point. You have to accept that. If you're constantly struggling with your restlessness and chasing an unreachable dream, as if that's the point where you try to find peace, but it never really happens. The second group, they're restless not because of the original problem. These people have issues within themselves. Basically, they're running away from themselves, not really searching for peace. To fill that inner emptiness, they need some kind of noise or chaos outside. You know how some people just can't sit still? If it gets quiet, that silence actually makes them anxious. So it's always noise after noise. The volume keeps getting louder. One thing ends, then the phone rings. That's over. Now something else. Then something else again. Non-stop. He doesn't need to create silence for himself. Doesn't need to make a calm, peaceful space or find comfort in it. He's restless. Can't just sit still. He always has to be doing something, always has to be hearing something, always has to have his mind occupied, because if there's nothing, that silence makes him anxious. He's scared of that silence. So what should we do? Please try practicing daily, like for 5 minutes. It's not a lot, just 5 minutes of mindful silence. Don't let anything distract your mind in the moment. Turn off your phone, turn off all external stimuli, turn off the TV, don't interact with anyone, just be alone. Just sit in a room and focus only on complete silence. Practice this. Make sure you don't get distracted. Be alone with yourself, super relaxed, with no outside distractions. This exercise helps you if your restlessness comes from trying to avoid that silence. Actually, you'll learn to embrace and understand that quiet. It's one of those amazing tricks that, if you keep at it, you'll see results fast. The third group has a different reason for their restlessness. These people always look for peace and calm from outside themselves. Their calm depends on something external, like needing others' approval. You feel good when someone praises you. You feel good when someone says, "Well done, you did a great job, you really know your stuff." That's when you find peace. If your sense of worth depends on others, you'll always be restless. If you're in a place where no one pays attention to you, you'll totally fall apart. So what should people do? They need to shift their sense of value from what others think to their own conscience. Let your conscience approve you. Practice that. Don't chase after other people's opinions, otherwise you'll get stuck and your peace of mind will never come back. Practice having your inner conscience be the one to approve you, not others. This is a really important technique. When you do this exercise, say to yourself, from today on, it's important to me that my conscience is aware and approves of what I say. If my conscience says I did a good job, that my actions were right, that my decisions were correct, then that's what matters. So do what you genuinely respect yourself for doing, not just what others think. If others approve, that's a nice bonus, sure, but if they don't let it bother you or make you feel uneasy. Other people's approval is a reward, but it's not the fuel for your life. Please pay close attention to this. The next group of people who are constantly restless usually have some unresolved stuff from their past. They're carrying around some emotional wounds that haven't been dealt with, and until those get sorted out, they won't find peace. Like, something happened years ago that still casts a shadow over their mind, and now it's controlling their present and future. What should we do? Deny the past? No, don't deny it. But understand why that thing happened. Analyze it, learn from it, and move on. If you don't, it'll just mess you up. And if you find you can't do this on your own, you definitely need to see a therapist. Go to a skilled psychotherapist who can use different treatment techniques to help you. They'll help you let go of that painful past, because unless you accept letting go, your problem won't be solved as long as you're breathing. I'm not saying to make excuses, like, yeah, something happened, maybe you were partly at fault or maybe others were. Every event has a message, a lesson. Learn it and then move on. Don't let yourself get stuck on it. There's another group, like those who are restless or unsettled, and their root cause goes back to something else. See, all the signs point to restlessness, but the roots are different. It makes a difference. When the roots are different, the way you deal with it changes too. Some people get stuck in comparisons. They're always comparing themselves to others. That's the only reason they feel unsettled. They measure their success by others' success. If they're behind, they feel worthless and restless. If they're ahead, they still feel it's not enough and have to keep running so no one catches up. It's an endless jealousy that never lets go. Because there's always someone to compare yourself to. There's always a better car than yours. Always. The prettier flower you bought is even more beautiful than that one. Other people's spouses might seem better from someone else's perspective, but that's not the reality. It's just how we see things. We make these wrong comparisons. So many couples mess up their lives and drag each other down because of one dangerous mistake. Comparing their spouse to someone else's spouse, comparing their spouse to their own sister, comparing their spouse to their brother, comparing their spouse to a successful person. Everyone has flaws, and since perfection doesn't exist, they never find peace. This unrest never lets them go. It won't work if every time you compare yourself, you don't consciously invest in your own progress. Compare yourself to yourself. If you want your problem solved, don't compare yourself to others. Compare today to your yesterday, not to your brothers, sisters, co-workers, friends, or anyone else's yesterday or today. You need to use your own path as the measure, not someone else's. If you can look at it this way, the problem will get solved. If not, it won't. There's also a group of people who are always restless because they're overly controlling, while others struggle because they can't accept uncertainty. Some people are really anxious and can't accept that things won't go exactly as they want. Everything has to go according to their plan, or else their anxiety kicks in. Like when they want to throw a party, they start stressing out 3 days before until everything happens just the way they imagined. The people helping them with the party have to do things exactly how they want. These are restless folks. So what should they do? What's the solution? Draw a line between what's under your control and what's not. A lot of things aren't in your hands, so don't try to control them. Focus on practicing handling the small stuff instead. Just let go and don't try to control everything. Start with the small stuff and accept that being flexible isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of maturity. A lot of people think that if they want something or have a preference, and it's not exactly how they want or can't get it, they have to give up or ignore it. They see that as weakness, but it's actually flexibility. Successful, wise people are flexible. We shouldn't be rigid or stubborn about everything. Sometimes you have to bend a little. If one path leads to a dead end, take another. The sky won't fall just because you can't have that dessert tonight or you have a party to go to. Fix it. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. We're weak people? Who says that's a sign of weakness? No, this actually means being flexible, adapting to realistic situations. It doesn't show your limits, it shows your honesty, not your weakness. Then there's another group, and this one is really important, so pay attention. Some people are just restless. You know why? Because life has no meaning for them. The purpose of living is unclear. They don't know why they're even alive. Usually, those who are distant from spirituality, who have no connection with God, who don't understand metaphysical concepts at all, fall into this group. Look at how many nihilistic people end up committing suicide. Just look at history. It's always been like that, and still is. They hit a point of meaninglessness. Who hits that point? Someone who has no idea what meaning is. Someone who doesn't know what living is all about. Someone who can't imagine any purpose for their life, but someone who believes in God. Someone who has a relationship with God and tries to live according to what God has told them to do and avoids what God has forbidden. Don't doubt it, because they know why they're living and their behavior is completely aligned with that. They'll never experience this kind of inner unrest. It's impossible. Look, throughout human history, this is a big claim, so please pay close attention. If you find even one person who truly worshipped God, whose entire behavior was based on trying to gain God's approval, that person has never been, isn't, and won't ever be empty, hopeless, or restless. If you find such a case, then all I've said is wrong. A true believer, someone whose decisions, actions, and behavior align with what God wants, can never be unsettled. Because once that connection happens, meaning comes. Once a person turns to God, their life gains meaning. So there's this group of people who are going through serious mental and emotional crises. They have everything you can imagine. The best house in the world, the best car, the most beautiful spouse, living in, say, the coolest city. Everything's perfect, top-notch, but there's this inner question that destroys them. So what? Like, what's the point? It's this emptiness, this lack of meaning in life. We all need to ask ourselves, what's the meaning of my life? Is it just about pleasure? I mean, humans are considered the noblest of creatures, created by God, who made all creatures, and said among them, "You are the most honorable." So did we really come into this world just to chase pleasure? If a tick enjoys itself and then dies, it's really not that small for God. Like, God forbid, it's not that insignificant. If the measure of pleasure, like that French writer said, is like a Dutch cow being the happiest of all, a cow in a meadow, just eating and loving life, totally enjoying itself without caring about anything or understanding anything, then is that the real measure? So what's the difference between me and that cow? We should ask ourselves what gives our life meaning and seek that meaning in growing our connection with faith. Life without meaning, my dear friends, don't doubt it. Not in yourself, not in anyone else. Think about this. Life feels restless even at the highest levels of comfort if it lacks meaning. Until you answer that deep, fundamental question and truly understand what your life means, you'll never experience real peace for even a moment while you're alive. The ones who turn to drugs thinking it'll bring them peace are just foolish. They're ignorant people who believe escaping through substances will calm them down. They're the lowest kind of humans, completely lacking any sense of reason. They don't really understand the meaning of life or peace. This is really important to get. The last group of restless people are those who haven't made peace with themselves. They don't have inner peace. Definitely check out the video I made about making peace within. These people are in a constant battle with themselves, not caring about anyone else. From the moment they wake up and want to start their day until they try to go to sleep, they're just fighting, fighting, fighting. Who are they fighting with? Themselves. There's no peace inside them. They haven't made any truce with themselves. They're always blaming themselves non-stop, always chasing an unreachable ideal. He runs after it until he gets it and wears himself out. He's always hiding this anger deep inside, and that craving just won't let go. So what are we supposed to do? Replace self-acceptance with your fake dreams. Fake dreams aren't achievable. We think if we get that certain cosmetic surgery, we'll look better, then we'll finally like ourselves. We get the surgery, think we look better, but the problem doesn't go away. Before any surgery, accept who you are. Love that person. Love your body even if you're overweight. Love your grey hair. Love your glasses. Why do we keep trying to turn ourselves into some perfect idol? Why do we want to fill in our wrinkles and get caught up in this competition saying, "No, I'm still young," when actually you can proudly say, "I've gotten older and that has its own value." Every single day, you're gaining a whole new world of experience. Think about how much you've invested from the day you were born until now, how much you've spent on food, education, traveling. You're the product of all that journey, all those ups and downs you went through. All the struggles and hardships have shaped who you are today. That wrinkle on your face, those grey hairs, they're a part of your story. Your purity has a price, so love it and protect it. When you reach the point of loving everything about yourself, that's the start of making peace with who you are. Making peace with yourself means finding inner calm. Don't deny your weaknesses. If you've got them, own them. What else can you do? Manage them. Talk to yourself like you would to someone you care about. Don't be so hard on yourself. If you want to find peace, you have to stop being your own worst critic. To sum it up, friends, peace is an inside job, not something you get from outside. Never forget that everything happens in your mind, both misery and happiness, all the struggles. The core of all happiness and hope comes from something inside you called the self. It's a completely internal thing and has nothing to do with the outside world. Those who tie it to external things are the ones who end up restless. A person who understands themselves, who accepts life and finds meaning in simply being alive, might not have everything, but will never suffer from chronic restlessness. Don't doubt it, never, as long as you pay attention to these points and principles. Thanks so much for being with me. Please make sure to like the video so more people can see it. I especially encourage you to share your experiences in the comments. Leave a comment. Sharing your experiences helps create a valuable world of knowledge for others who read your comments. Thanks so much for being with us.